We have a tradition at our annual awards dinner of lighting a candle in honor of those who have been killed, imprisoned, or harassed while in the line of duty. Tonight, we honor journalists from Ukraine, Belarus, and Russia who resisted and defied the withdrawal of press freedoms in their regions. I can't think of anyone who has put the principle of a free press ahead of her own personal safety and comfort more than Yuliya Slutskaya. Yuliya can't be with us tonight, but if you're at all familiar with her work, you know she is a longtime Belarusian journalist and a fierce advocate of an independent media. In 2011, she founded Press Club Belarus as a central meeting place for reporters and as a forum to incubate innovation, train new writers, and promote high ethical standards for journalists. That brought her to the attention of longtime Belarusian dictator Alexander Lukashenko, who we all know now as a Vladimir Putin ally. In 2020, when he was reelected amid widespread reports of election fraud, massive street protests led to a brutal crackdown, especially against journalists, and the closure of Yuliya's press center. As she was returning from vacation, she was arrested on manufactured tax evasion charges and held without trial for 8 months in harsh conditions. She was released in August only because her family paid a large sum of money. Last year, Yuliya was named World Press Freedom Hero by the International Press Institute. She and her colleagues put together this short video. Please watch.
On August 9, 2020, presidential elections were held in Belarus. Due to large-scale falsifications, mass protests began in the country. Journalists were among the first to be hit. They were detained, beaten, and even fired on. In December 2020, team members of Press Club Belarus were arrested. They spent 8 months in a pre-trial detention center and were released after their relatives paid off the damage under a politically motivated financial article. Protests against Lukashenko didn't stop for several months. By 2021, the authorities had suppressed them with police violence and huge prison sentences. Now, there are 1,108 political prisoners in Belarus. 33 are journalists. Some received up to 15 years in prison. Because of the loss of legitimacy and external isolation, Alexander Lukashenko began to move closer to Russia. On February 24th, he provided the territory of Belarus for an attack on Ukraine. Ukraine has been at war for a month and a half already. The number of civilian casualties is in the thousands. "12 journalists have already died on the territory of Ukraine. Another 17 have been injured. 8 have disappeared." The occupants fired on 10 TV towers to leave Ukrainians without information. Kherson and Melitopol were forcibly disconnected from Ukrainian broadcasting, capturing their editorial offices. Belarusian independent media, which work from abroad, cover the war in Ukraine non-stop, including from hotspots. They are blocked not only by the official authorities, not only in Belarus, but also in Russia, for showing the war without prejudice. This is our common tragedy. Together, we tell the truth.
It's in Yuliya's honor and that of all the jailed, harassed, and exiled journalists in Belarus, Ukraine, and Russia that we light this candle tonight, and then we'll have a moment of silence. At last fall's dinner, we raised funds to help Afghan journalists who had to flee their country to avoid being hunted down by the Taliban. I'm pleased to announce that between what you all donated and contributions from 2 foundations, including a very generous one from the Ford Foundation, we were able to distribute more than $133,000 to Afghan journalists who are now refugees in the United States. This year, we'd like to do the same for some of our colleagues in Ukraine, Belarus, and Russia. At last count, 12 journalists have been killed, 8 have disappeared, and another 17 have been injured as they reported, photographed, filmed, or broadcast the latest atrocities in Ukraine alone. The best way you can honor your fallen colleagues is to contribute to this fundraiser. Using the instructions on the card you were given at the door, 100% of the proceeds will go to journalists in the region who have been forced to stop working, have had their equipment destroyed, have had to flee, or otherwise have been harmed just for doing their jobs. I want to thank our partner in this cause, Sony Electronics, for kickstarting this fundraiser with a generous donation of $25,000. Thank you, Sony. Other major donors, Newsweek and Brunswick, have pledged $5,000 and $2,000 respectively. We're extremely grateful for these contributions. Now, I know you all have cell phones. You can take them out now. Go ahead, make your donation. It could be $25, $100, $500, everything helps.